and up 2 on ventilators for the confirmed cases. So the point here is really that cases continue to go up. Hospitalizations are going up a bit. Fortunately, not as bad as the cases that are going up. We will be meeting here today and tomorrow to figure out if we need to take any steps to pull back. We have been reasonably successful in getting people to wear masks, but not 100% conformance. We have supplied masks to many entities, and now it's really a matter, I think everyone out there has access to a mask, and so now it's a matter of persuading you that for other people you need to wear a mask. Pending is, of course, what's going to happen with schools, and I think we're going to hear more about that next week. Sorry. But so COVID is concerning us. Not as bad as other areas, but not as good as it was. So that's COVID. The second topic I really want to touch on today is really another pandemic, another very serious health crisis, and that is the violence in our community. Some of you may have seen this. The chief talked about this yesterday, Chief Hayden. As of today, we have 130, this was this morning, 130 homicides. That's versus 99 a year ago, so we're up 31. This is the violence that has been happening in our community since around the 1st of June is really exceptional and off the charts. And our police officers are working very hard to find the shooters, the perpetrators of this violence. Let me say that, and the chief stressed this yesterday in his interviews, that most of this violence is either related to drugs, over half of it they believe related to drugs. And how do they know that? Because there's drugs on the scene, because there's paraphernalia on the scene, because, these are the indicators. Others are related to personal disputes, sometimes having to do with drugs or having to do with money about drugs, sometimes having to do with domestic situations. But, this is happening across the country. Every major city is talking about this and experiencing this uptick in violence. People are stressed. COVID has stressed people. Unemployment has stressed people. Just the entire situation surrounding both of those things, the economy and COVID and the shutdown, has really stressed many people. And we believe that is, of course, at least a good part of the reason that we're seeing this real pandemic in violence and in shootings in our city. And when you look at other cities, Chicago, Atlanta, Kansas City, other mayors that I speak with, everyone is struggling with this. And if you're not involved in illegal activity, you are not at risk. But let's be clear, these lives are too many. We've had 130 lives lost to violence, 159 lives lost to COVID so far this year, and a number also lost to opioids and overdoses. So, people are stressed. Please, if you know someone that you feel could benefit from some mental health services, please dial 211. And after you do that, hit 1, and you'll be connected to mental health services. It's really important, I think, that we all look out for each other here. And it's one thing to talk about numbers, but let's not forget that what's behind this are people and their families and their friends. And we need, our police can't do it all. We need all of you to help also. If you know someone who is engaged in very risky behavior or engaged in a dispute, please notify us. Please get help for those individuals. And if you know someone who has done these shootings, please call Crime Stoppers. You can be completely anonymous. And it's really important to help our police solve these crimes. So our police are being stretched extremely thin, and we are short police officers to begin with, as you all know. I've talked about this a lot, 140, give or take. And so the stress in our community, the violence in our community is really very, very difficult situation. So help if you can, please. The other thing I want to talk about along those lines is that yesterday, and then again today at the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, we did approve 2 operators for the Cure Violence model. We approved Employment Connections to be the operator for Cure Violence in the Dutchtown neighborhood. And we approved the Urban League to be the operator of the Cure Violence model in the Walnut Park neighborhood. You know that we already have Cure Violence operating, I think, in a section of Wells Goodfellow, Hamilton Heights neighborhood areas. And so these are 2 more, and Cure Violence is a tool. It's a good tool. And so we're happy that we were able to get those 2 firms selected and contracted for, and that they'll be starting to work here right around the 1st of August. So that's on COVID and on violence. The next thing I want to mention is the governor just about, here it is, just about an hour or so ago, maybe 2 hours by now, has called a special session for the legislature. And it's going to be, what are the dates of it, Jacob? End of July.
Starts July 27th.
July 27th. And so there are 2 things that we have worked hard on that will be included as topics in the special session. One of them is a proposal to consider eliminating or lifting the residency requirement for public safety officers in the city of St. Louis, so police, fire, EMS. And that's important because we, as most one of them is a proposal to consider eliminating or lifting the residency requirement for public safety officers in the city of St. Louis, so police, fire, EMS. And that's important because we, as most proposal to consider eliminating or lifting the residency requirement for public safety officers in the city of St. Louis, so police, fire, EMS. And that's important because we, as most police departments, we have a real difficult eliminating or lifting the residency requirement for public safety officers in the city of St. Louis, so police, fire, EMS. And that's important because We, as most police departments, we have a real difficult eliminating or lifting the residency requirement for public safety officers in the city of St. Louis, so police, fire, EMS. And that's important because we, as most police departments, we have a real difficult and that's important because we, as most police departments, we have a real difficult and that's important because we, as most police departments, we have a real difficult and that's important because we, as most police departments, we have a real difficult and that's important because we, as most police departments, we have a real difficult consider eliminating or lifting the residency requirement for public safety officers in the city of St. Louis, so police, fire, EMS. And that's important because we, as most police departments, we have a real difficult proposal to consider